Hey everyone, welcome back to the Landslide series, and yeah, we're going into the last big exercise I have for Travis picking improvisation, at least that I developed, doing this song. The last sort of big, just straight up drill that I've got is how you shift between positions in one chord or one hybrid position that you have. In the last lesson, I talked about how to do positions in, the first part of the neck, second position, third position, kind of way up here on the neck, playing with open string chords and things like that. I showed you all these hybrid positions that will get you through the changes of this song. And you can, of course, adapt that idea to any song you want to do. But one of the biggest tricks you're going to run into if you try to apply that stuff to improvisation is how you weave them all together, because you're going to see it gets very confusing very quickly. So what I have done is taken the exercise that I do for sort of melodic position shifting. I have an exercise that I do when I'm just, playing. When I'm just playing straight melodic stuff that I will use to weave positions together. If you do like sort of melodic position playing, I'll do an exercise where I systematically shift on every single string. It looks a little like this. Now, if you're following along with what I'm doing, you're going to see I'm sort of, playing through two boxes. I sort of got pentatonic box here and pentatonic box here. But what I'm doing is I'm playing from the bottom of one to the top of the next one, but I'm shifting on every single string systematically. I'm starting by shifting on the first string, and then on the second string, and then on the third string, and just sort of playing the different variations that arise as a result of those systematic shifts. And I'm going to show you how to do a similar thing with hybrid positions when you're doing Travis picking stuff. And this can apply both to when you're staying on one chord, when you're switching between chords. The strategies you're going to learn here are going to apply to all that stuff. And it's really critical if you want to improvise through moving changes in hybrid positions, which is definitely a mouthful, but it's really, really fun stuff. I'm going crazy doing this stuff. I love it. So, all right, let's get into it. So we're only really going to look at, a couple of chords in this lesson, and I'm going to trust you to be able to adapt this to other chords that you work on this over, because the possibilities for this exercise are quite complex. They're just very vast, and I might demonstrate some of them in another video, but I'm going to basically show you the principles and try to see if you can apply them to other stuff. So let's just take, a G major chord, and we've got some finger, any finger, on the third fret of the E string, and then we're playing the open D string with our sort of Travis thumb pattern. I'll start with my ring finger there. And we got a scale here. And make sure you've done my lesson on sort of basics of hybrid positions before you get into any of this, because this is about blending hybrid positions together. So, that's our scale if we play this in the first position, but if we switch to the middle finger on that third fret, and then we play the scale, it's a different scale. If we switch to the pointer finger, we're going to get a different scale even. Now, it's not a different scale in the sense that the notes are different, but the range they're played on in the neck differs, so the shape you have to use to catch the same notes is different. So as you can see, I had, the ring finger on this third fret, the middle finger there, and the pointer finger, and I can have my thumb there too. Now the thumb will give you essentially the same scale that you'd have to play for the second position with the middle finger there, but you have different fingers available. So there's 4 different fingers I could play with this, covering my bass note. And that would all give me different scale and soloing possibilities. And there are different times when you'll need them all. So you're going to start to see there's a lot of possibilities that we're dealing with here, but we are going to, want to explore as many of them as we can. And the more you work on this exercise, the more of these possibilities you'll cover, the more they'll apply to, situations that show up in new songs. So it's really worth it to plow these. So let's start on just the D string. Let's say I want to go to the first or the second position. I kind of got to shift here. I'm going to want to use my pinky to go up to this note here, but then I want to get my middle finger there. So what I do, I kind of tuck my middle finger right in here. It's kind of sticking there right in the third fret, kind of right next to my ring finger, which is putting the note down now. And then I shift them together. In fast motion we go. A nice smooth transition to the second position. If you tuck that finger in really, really well, you shouldn't hear too much. It should sound like the bass pattern is unbroken. And same thing with the third position, but we need a different set of fingerings. You'll find if I try to slide up with the pinky, I get this weird crunch, and then I gotta slide with the pinky twice in a row. So you're gonna see, you have to kind of prepare these shifts in your mind. You gotta figure out which fingerings work the best and try to memorize them. But I find if I'm going from the first position to the third position over this particular chord, I really wanna shift right away. Once I got this second finger down here, I get my pointer finger ready, I kind of turn my hand so it's tucked into that third fret, and then bam, right into that spot. Unbroken, C. And then to go in the other direction, I kind of reach my ring finger around so it's ready to just pop right in there. Prepare, bam. Smooth transition between these different positions, and I bet you want to solo with that idea. And you see there's different melodic possibilities even on one string in those three different positions. So it's really worthwhile to learn those and get used to this. It definitely takes a while to get used to because you've got to memorize which two fingers are really best to do shifts with, because some shifts just don't work. In fact, most of them don't work. Most of the shifting possibilities going from one note to another just don't work. So I would say start with the linear possibilities if you just want to do go through a linear scale. Don't worry about skips too much yet. And then work those out on every string. So going up to the B string, the pinky, I can use the pinky just go right up there, and I kind of have my ring finger down here, and the second finger is going to tuck in there and pop. If I'm going from the second to the third position, so we can get that a little better. It's all about just kind of snapping from one position to another. One of my old teachers used to tell me to kind of when you're ready to go, you almost sort of pull your hand this way. Only a little bit, not that much, but you'll see my hand will sort of the weight will shift a little bit so I can just snap into that next position. See how I'm almost ready to go, and as soon as I release those fingers, bam, I snap into the new position. And in this particular fingering, if you want to go right from the first position to the third position, you can't avoid having the pinky have to kind of slide around to play these notes. There's really no way around it, because you're going to see. If I want to get that first finger in there, I can't really get the, or at least it's quite difficult to kind of have this finger be down there and have the pointer finger tucked in so you can slide it into there. See, the fingers just aren't available. So generally what I'll do is I'll just accept I'm probably going to have to slide with the pinky if I'm going from the first to the third position in this particular, doing a solo with this particular shift. And if you're going to do shifts in these hybrid positions, you got to be prepared to go a little bit slow and to really kind of think ahead to what you're doing. Because if you think ahead to something that's just not going to work, unless you are really, really mastering these things and really getting up to a very high speed where you can do all these shifts in 16th notes, you're really going to need to take your time and feel through them for quite a while until your fingers get really used to the shifts. But you're going to see. And I can do that without too much trouble. So we can get that. You can see the key is you'll hear the shift less and less. The closer you can get that bass finger in, it's being right next to the finger it's replacing. just tuck it right in there on the same fret and just pop it right into place, you really won't hear the bass note move. And that's a big key. It's a very important thing. So with any chord you're going to do, you want to try to systematically work out what are the likely positions you're going to play this chord in, and try to do shifts on every single string and figure out which fingering substitutions you're going to use for each shift. And you really kind of try to practice those systematically. You can really kind of worked out my possibilities there. I want to go. And then when you're ready, start just sort of playing around over one chord, just drone improvisation, trying to be able to switch between the positions. You see, I was able to kind of use the thumb and those other 4 finger positions all over that G chord. And of course, you got a lot of other chords to do with that with. If you're in, I'm talking about the song Landslide, you got those positions over your C, your G with the B and the bass. Every chord of the song has got different places you can play it. If you watched my video on extended positions, you learned all the different positions that you can play every single one of these chords in, and so really kind of fit in the context of the song. And every single one of those has got a shift set between it. So you can see a lot of possibilities. So general principles you want to work by are try to work out every shift logically and figure out which fingers are going to do it the smoothest. Really try to memorize those. Work one chord at a time. Spend a lot of time on one chord. Rest your thumb often, or whatever finger is holding your bass note. Rest it frequently enough that it doesn't get tired. But really try to build these up over time. And then when you're really ready to start to work these into improvisation, I'll talk about this more in the next video, but I'm going to sort of start to explain, okay, how do you get ready to start doing shifts that go across chords?